Are you a football fan? Have you ever found yourself wondering, what in the world was that ref thinking? Well, Mike D, the referee, is here to help you. Join me on Whistle Talk as I talk to professionals on the field and in the booth to help you understand what is going on inside the mind of a football official. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Whistle Talk. Mike D, the referee, joining you here once again, post Verizon era. So I know people that have been listening have been hearing all my stuff going on with my Verizon debacle going on, but now finally got some solid internet service. So get back to normal, get some guests coming back on. Before I introduce my guests, let me just go through my quick spiel here. If you are enjoying the show, do me a favor, hit those like buttons, hit those subscribe buttons. Do them right now if you could. If you're sitting in the car, obviously don't do it. But if you're sitting at home watching it on YouTube, hit those like and subscribe buttons. Those things are totally free, and it will help other people find the podcast. While you're at it, if you could leave a quick review or a comment, I would appreciate that. Again, negative or positive. I'm a referee, so kind of got some thick skin. And if you know people that would enjoy the show, share this episode with them or post about it on social media. Every share helps grow our community. Don't forget, again, to check out that YouTube site, get some other content. You'll be able to visually see the YouTube site, see our presentations, youtube.com/at Mike D the referee. And also take a look at my friends at Vets to Refs. Going to have a little in commercial here going on in a moment. Lastly, if you want to help the show a little bit, I do have the Buy Me a Coffee website. You can go there, buymeacoffee.com/Mike D the referee, for any type of donations to help grow the show, keeping my equipment running, paying for the crappy internet that I once had, but now that I have a good one, I have to pay a little bit more for it. But hey, that's going to just help everybody else out. So once again, check out those sites. And before we dive in here with Mark, I got a little word from our partners at Vets to Refs. Hi, I'm Mike D, the referee from the podcast Whistle Talk. I want to take a moment to talk to you about Vets to Refs. Vets to Refs is on a mission to help U.S. military veterans and first responders become licensed youth and high school sports officials. They, along with their partners, assist with licensing fees, providing equipment, and offering training, so you can give back to your community and help solve the official shortage. Start your journey at vetstorefs.com. That's VETS, the number 2, REFS.com. And we're back. All right. So my guest today, I have with me a Mr. Mark Mesnick. Mark, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Oh, no, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule and jumping on the show today. I truly do appreciate it. So, Mark, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and your history as a football official?
I started to officiate football at the high school level back in the late 1980s. I started out just like everybody else doing junior high and JV high school and worked my way up to varsity. 11 years after I joined the high school group, I made an application to join the NCAA football Metro chapter group here in New York City. And they were kind enough to take me in, I think, 1999 or 2000.
Okay.
And I was lucky and fortunate enough that they took me in as a referee because I was a referee at the high school level. And I've been at the college level 26, 27 years in that neighborhood, all as a referee. And then the past 4 years, I've been in the replay booth at the NEC division. And I just removed myself from the replay because I just find it difficult to keep up with the tech end of it.
Okay.
And plus, there's a shift now that replay officials at the college level and even the NFL are swinging back towards young people because they find it very easy to adapt to all the equipment and computers and the high tech that they need to be savvy with. So that's where I am now. I'm a football assigner for junior college football.
Okay.
I have teams as far north as upstate New York and Hudson Valley, and I have schools that go down as far south as Virginia and points in between.
Oh,
So
wow.
I
So
assign
that's a very
games.
broad area for
Yep,
the
I have
geographical aspect of it. So you're sending people, about 8-9 hours in between, maybe even a little bit more.
Well, I have a staff of about 100 football officials, all NCAA certified, and I have guys that live down in the Baltimore, Washington D.C. area that handle the southern schools, and I also have officials that come as far as Connecticut, New York, and even a couple of guys up in the Massachusetts and upstate area that work the assignments that I give.
So, Mark, we were talking pre-recording. One of the big things I'd like to discuss with you is the replay system, and I know you said you're working your way out of it due to the technology with it. One of my past episodes I had on, we've talked about the high school replay system, and in New Jersey a few years back, we were kind of the experimental state with doing the huddle sideline and stuff like that, and that turned into a complete debacle because basically we only had 2 camera angles, and then we had it solely for then playoff purposes where they were being done at typically collegiate games, but then the state decided here in New Jersey, we no longer have any replay system whatsoever, no matter what the game level is. And there's rumors and talks about that going back to it with the playoff competition. But as of right now, we don't have any type of replay system. Talking with officials around the country, I know a lot of them do have it, again, typically just in your big playoff games, when they're being played at a neutral site and you got the multiple camera angles. So you being in that collegiate world that the high school game is looking to try to get to with the technology aspect of it, kind of walk us through, if you don't mind, how the whole replay process goes. So we've got a play on the field, and in the collegiate game, they don't necessarily have to challenge, correct?
That's correct.
So now you're sitting upstairs, you got all the multiple TVs. Are you buzzing down to the referee that you could have a replay scenario?
Yes. What happens is after each and every play on the field, there's 2 screens up by the replay guys. The communicator, which is what I usually do, I have my own screen, and then the replay official, he has his own screen. And both our screens are linked together. So after each and every play, up on the screen, there will be 14, anywhere from 8 to 14 mini screens on our screen. And I would say a very high percentage of the plays during a game, we don't really need to take a look at. We say just clear it, clear it, clear it. So if the offense runs a play, picks up 3 yards going up the middle, we don't see anything, and normally you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Why take a look? So we just say clear it. And when we say clear it, I believe the referee down on the field, he's got earpieces just like us, so we just clear it and move on to the next play.
Okay. So now you do have, say, a play along the sideline, a completed pass. Not sure if in the collegiate level still only 1 foot, not 2 foot like the NFL. But now you got a play that's borderline. So now take us through the next process where you do have something where you do want to take a look at.
Well, what we'll do is 1 or 2 or 3 things. First thing is if we feel we say to ourselves, let's take a look. There's smoke.
Yep.
We have to take a look. Clock is still running. Everything is still running. We'll take a quick look to see if there's something we need to take a closer look. If we feel that there's a foot out of bounds and they missed it, or if they spot the ball 3 yards beyond where they needed to spot it, we'll say stop the game, stop it. And then the referees will kill the clock. We stop the clock. And now we'll start to take a look. So if we have like 12 to 14 images on our screens, we will pretty quickly zero in on one or two angles that we need to take a closer look. So if we have a camera on the offensive sideline, we'll hone in on that camera and take a look. Sometimes even from a camera angle that we would think is the best angle, we may not be able to see because of bodies and so forth.
Yep.
So we'll revert to like the 50-yard line or the 20-yard line. Or we'll go higher up in the stadium to look down to get the best angle so we can make a determination as to what we need to do. Once we need to make a change, if you will, spotting the ball where it actually did go out of bounds or whatever the case may be, we just simply talk to the referee, and all the officials down on the field will hear us say, put the ball back on the 35, he stepped out of bounds, and you can wind the clock when you need to wind the clock.
Okay.
So in the real world, that should not take more than 30, 40 seconds, if that.
Yeah.
Now, when you have a play that takes longer, there's usually reasons that you will take longer. Did he have possession of the ball on a kick? Did he have possession on a catch? Was the catch completed?
Mm-hmm.
Did the ball break the plane at the goal line? So there's a lot of other scenarios that could take place during a play that would just simply slow the process up. So that's why you see sometimes, between the replay crew and the guys on the field, we are in the process of communicating amongst ourselves to get the play right. That's how we live and die.
Yep.
Get it right.
That's the ultimate goal with everything, is just to try to get it right and get the fairest game possible for the kids that are out there. So I know that that's something that is always in the back of our minds, and we're trying to do the best that we can. Having, I guess, the luxury of replay does help clarify some things. So you got that play where it's taking a little bit longer. Are the referees on the field, are they still looking at a camera angle? Are they going into the box like we used to see? Is that still something that's going on, or is it strictly falling now on the replay officials to make that ruling?
No, we will call the referee over to participate with the replay crew up in the press box.
Okay.
So if depending on the school, most schools will have a box on the home side of the field, and the referee will have the capabilities and supposedly the equipment that if he needs to get underneath, the tarp or whatever, he will be looking at the same thing that we're looking at upstairs.
And now you guys are all communicating with each other and kind of giving different opinions and different statements of what you think is going on?
That's a good question, Michael. Let me tell you what kind of happens as well. The replay official, he's the guy that's glued to the screen with the images that he needs to take a look at, and he will communicate with the referee down below.
Okay.
Me as a communicator, my job primarily is to watch the field. So I will chirp into the ear of the replay guy, and I would say the team is still in the huddle. The team is still in the huddle. The team is on the sidelines. Because I look at the field just like a spectator, even though I have all the equipment and the screens and the images in front of me. My job is to continuously communicate in such a fashion where the replay guy is doing his job, but out of his right ear or out of his left ear, he hears me whispering, the team is not on the field. The team is not on the field. Or the team is now going to the middle of the field and they're in their huddle.
Okay.
So he needs to know what's going on on the field as he's communicating with the referee. I'm the eyes telling him what's going on, because he will say to me, not that he has to say to me, don't let him go. Don't let him break the huddle. Don't let him break the huddle. Stay where they are. So that's how we kind of keep control of the offense and the defense as they're communicating as to how we're going to change the play, alter the play, let the play stand. That's a big term that we use. If we feel the officials are right,
mm-hmm.
after everything is said and done, and we take a look at all these images, let the play stand. The play stands. And once the referee hears that, and he's looking at the same images we are in his little camera down there, and as a committee, we'll say that the play stands.
Okay.
That's it.
So the way you're describing it, and again, I'm new to the actual replay aspect of it, but so it sounds like you're communicating with the replay official next to you. The replay official is communicating with the referee down on the field. Is there anything back at the NCAA headquarters or stuff like that where we hear with Sunday that New York's taking a look at it or anything like that, or is this strictly just happening at the stadium level itself?
At the NEC level, which where I worked, we have no other authority other than us in the booth.
Okay.
However, those Saturday games you see on TV, they now all have command centers all over the country, depending on the conference that the game is on TV. And I'm here to tell you, these command centers, Michael, they're mind-boggling with the equipment and the screens and the way these guys are all trained, and they're fast, they're quick, and screens, they're huge. They're huge, and you just zoom in on the image that you want, and they break it down in such a fashion where they take half a step, half a step, half a step, or the ball is coming into the hand
Mm-hmm.
before it gets to the hand. Then it's in the hand. Did he have possession? 1001, 1002. I mean, they look at things. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's crazy with some of the technology, and I know in the past couple of years we've now seen the other professional league, the spring professional league, have the officials mic'd up with the command center going over the replay stuff, which I find very intriguing personally, and just hearing the communication back and forth with them. But some of the stuff that I don't truly know is now what you just mentioned with the NEC conference, which NEC, the Northeast Conference, is still very good football, still Division I football. So for those on the opposite side of the country that aren't familiar with it is still some very high quality football. But it's the FBS level. Am I correct in saying that?
That's correct.
Okay, so it's one step down from your Alabamas and Auburns and SEC type of level. Um, but so the three of you in the NEC are communicating. Who's communicating with the coaches? Are the wings plugged into your conversation that they can relay information back to the coaches and different things like that, or are the coaches just waiting for the referee to come from underneath that tent and make the ruling at that point in time?
That's a great question, Michael. The officials down on the field will communicate with the coaches. The wing officials, which could either be the short wings or the deep wings. It depends on who's closest to the coach. Another thing is you will never see, or you should never see, one official communicating with a coach. You need two officials at all times. Primarily, officials are allowed to communicate with the coach as to what's going on upstairs.
Okay.
But he's got to be, to a certain degree, he's got to be somewhat vague, because he can't be explicit as to what we're really doing. Because the more information you share with a coach, and he's just going to get, sometimes less is more. But
Yes.
primarily, the one guy that will communicate with the coaches will be the referee himself, along with one of the other officials
Mm-hmm.
on that side of the field.
Yeah, and that's a great tip, and I know we've talked about it on previous episodes, but on my crew and at the high school level, I'm the umpire. Typically, I'm also a white hat with different crews. I help out, but typically, if there's ever a scenario where we need to talk to the coach, our white hat says we're doing it together. It's usually he and I, the umpire and the referee, that are going to talk to the coaches, because we never want the scenario. Well, you just said, and they got nobody else to back them up. And same thing now with that replay scenario. I like that you said that you're kind of giving some information, but you kind of got to be vague, because if the ruling does change, all of a sudden a different camera angle pops up and the ruling changes, and now the coach is going to flip out. Well, you just told me this, and now you're changing it, and so I like that the communication is going on, but it's to a limited point in essence.
Well, what you also do is, the one time, an official goes and speaks to a coach by himself, I could almost guarantee you 100% of the time it's going to come down to he said this, you said that, he said that, you said that. That's not good.
Yeah.
That's why you need two officials speaking to a coach, number one. Number two, a coach will always say to you, and I think you should be, you're probably aware of this, Michael. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? What are you looking at?
Yep.
Because the minute you say to a coach, we're looking to see if the ball was spotted at the 33 or the 35, he knows. He'll tell you where the ball should be. So
Depends upon if he's offensive or defensive, where they want it either advanced or back. Yep.
There's a lot to be said for a coach. Head coaches don't miss much. You know that.
Yeah.
On a serious note, they don't miss much. But what a coach will do is a high percentage of the time, he misinterprets the rules.
Sometimes purposely, sometimes naive, but sometimes they try to they're trying to buy a call. Absolutely.
Yep, they turn and twist things around.
Yep.
So a lot of times, let the referee speak to the coaches, and everybody else, officials should be trained to a certain degree as to what to say to a coach and what not to say, because like I previously stated, sometimes less is more.
Now, with those wing officials, with the people that are with the coaches, not necessarily the referee, they're hearing what's going on. Are they able to communicate back upstairs too at the same time with saying, hey, the coach wants you to take a look at this or anything like that? Or they're just kind of there to be the intermediary between the coach and what's going on upstairs?
If we feel there's nothing to look at, we're not going to look, because if once you go down that rabbit hole, Michael, they're going to stop the game every opportunity they get and say, look at this and look at that. No, the answer to that question is no.
So I got to ask the question, and I know this one is I know you probably can't give the true answer to this one, but in the collegiate level, when you have a targeting type of penalty, a hit to the head type of penalty, is that's something that automatically goes to replay? Am I correct in saying that?
Absolutely. The minute we think, doesn't have to be there, but let's say one of the guys down on the field or us up in the booth, all we have to do is think there's a possibility we need to take a look. Now, when we take a look at that supposedly targeting call, we're not stopping the game. We're not stopping the clock. We have the ability to take a look real quick from 2 or 3 different angles. So no one really knows for sure if we're looking at targeting or not. But amongst the replay guys and the on-field guys, we know ourselves we're taking a look. We're taking a look. Or all it takes is one of those deep officials, the side judge, field judge, or the back judge. All they have to do in their earpiece is say, guys, take a look at that.
Okay.
Let me take a look.
And that's something that you guys are doing upstairs without there even being a flag on the field at times, correct?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, there's times, that's a good point, Michael. There's times that the replay guys will take a look and tell nobody.
Okay.
Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. And what we have the ability to do, Michael, is we could take a look from 3 different angles in the span of less than 5-7 seconds.
Okay. So now I have talked about it a lot on my show where, in my personal opinion, here in New Jersey at the high school level, the targeting numbers have decreased over the last couple of years, in my opinion. I think the coaches are doing a better job of teaching the tackling and different things like that. And the players are now grasping the concept better. I mean, there's still going to be times where it happens. So we've definitely seen a decrease of it. At the NCAA level, now you got bigger, faster, stronger kids that are running around. And sometimes that contact happens with intent, but most of the time without intent. Opinion wise, the ejection, when a kid gets ejected at the NCAA level because it's deemed that they were targeting, what are your thoughts on that? Is it something that's helped the game in your opinion? Is it something that's kind of skewed the game a little?
I believe it's really helped the game.
Okay.
Coaches now coach. They're trying to coach it out of the game.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, a good part of the targeting is not intentional, but it's there.
Yes.
And if it's there and it just look, targeting, Michael, is one of those calls. When you see it, you know it.
Yeah.
Now, in our NCAA rule book, we hang our hat on Rule 913 and Rule 914. They're both targeting rules, but there's a different set of circumstances with 913 and 914. So I think it's the 914 where the targeting is did the defender leave his feet?
Okay.
Did he launch? Did he hit this part of the helmet? 913 would be more along the lines like the offensive player bowed down at the last minute, and he kind of initiated the targeting from the defense just by his fact that he caught the pass, took one step, but prior to the contact, he lowered himself.
Okay.
So when that defender came in, the defender was aiming at the shoulders, let's say, along those lines, or the chest. But because that offensive player came down and lowers himself, there's two different ways to look at it in the rule book, and they're clearly stated in the rules, like I said, 913 and 914, that it's targeting or it's not targeting. And
Okay.
that's when we take a hard, long look at what happened. And another thing, coaches and all coaches, and even the conference gets involved if you have to eject a player. Nobody likes to lose a player next week, even if it's just the first half of a game.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about a starter.
Yep.
And every starter is a important key ingredient in the defense and or the offense.
So, with that being said, with the two rules that you're mentioning, is one rule going to delineate that, okay, that is now an ejectable type of offense, and the other one is a non-ejectable offense? Will you pick up a flag completely and wave it off on a flag that was thrown for targeting, or is the flag automatically going to stay, the 15-yard penalty stay, but the player is not ejected? Because I know there's a lot of chatter from fans about players getting ejected, and they think that it's kind of gotten softer. But you and I both know that the whole purpose of that foul is to get that targeting out of the game, because the concussions, we've all seen now what the concussions have done. And also now we just had another scenario in the NFL with a neck injury by a young player. So they're trying to get rid of those things. So when you talk about, okay, this player will be getting ejected, what's the standard criteria for the ejectable targeting penalty versus a non-ejectable?
Well, that's another good question. If there's ever a scenario that we don't eject the player, we try to exercise that option.
Okay.
Now, if you have targeting and it's clearly there, you have no choice. We don't care about the infraction. We don't care about the penalty that he's got to miss part of a game or the game. We don't concern ourselves with that. However, more than you may think, we could take a targeting call, and if we think that all the elements of targeting are not there, we'll never pick up the flag and wave it off. Don't get me wrong, but we'll just turn it into a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, anything but targeting.
Okay. So that's good to know. And one of the scenarios, like with the targeting, is particularly on the quarterback and or a player giving themselves up, kind of sliding and stuff like that. And we saw the negative to it was, and I know the NCAA modified the rule with Kenny Pickett a couple of years ago, faking the slide, the defender pulling up, and then he continuing down for a score. So how does it work when you got somebody who's running 15, 20 yards full speed to try to tackle a quarterback like Kenny Pickett, who was a running type of quarterback, who then now all of a sudden late goes into a slide and they get popped. What's your thought process with that? Is it just where the contact is occurring, or because I know that sometimes tends to get a targeting foul because we're trying to protect the quarterback?
The moment a ball carrier gives himself up when he begins the slide.
Mm-hmm.
The minute we see that he's starting to lower his butt, that's where the ball is placed. And there should be a whistle instantly. He's not down yet on the ground. He's on his way down, or he's initiating the fact he's starting to go down. We blow that whistle immediately, and no contact should happen. However, if that defender is already in the process of making that tackle or making that hit, and it's unavoidable, that doesn't mean there's a flag. It may not be the case. However, there is nothing in the rules that will protect that ball carrier from targeting.
Okay.
You could have targeting after the play. You could have targeting after the whistle. You could have targeting during the play.
Mm-hmm.
Targeting's targeting, period. I don't care when it happens. Just like if someone was to punch somebody or kick somebody in between the downs. You can't do
True.
it. So once a player decides to give himself up, you better hear some whistles.
Agreed. Now, my last question that I have dealing with the quarterback, and I know, again, here at the high school level, because we don't have the replay system, when you got a roughing the passer penalty, but the roughing the passer penalty was the quarterback being hit with the crown of the defender's helmet. Are you guys looking at targeting in that scenario, or are you going into the same replay? Is that something that is looked at as possibly being ejectable, or is that going to fall under a roughing the passer type of penalty as opposed to targeting?
Well, that falls under the category. You just can't have helmet to helmet contact anymore.
Yep.
Period. However, what the officials try to do at the college level, and they should probably do this at the high school level, and this is difficult to do, and I'm sure you could attest to it. What was the intent of the defender? All right. So whenever you have targeting, a clear-cut case of targeting, it's going to be targeting no matter what. You're not going to be able to walk away from that. However, depending on everything else, you don't have to go with targeting. Just go with a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, or any of the other things. But there's no way, as a replay official, you can't walk away from a good targeting call. It's not in the rules.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the one thing, again, at the high school level, we don't have that luxury of the replay. I tend to try to err on going roughing the passer unless I know that, like you were talking about, there's malintent for it. And,
Yeah.
so for us, it's still just a 15-yard penalty. Very rare, again, for the ejectable, unless it's something that is truly malicious, where it was definitely with intent to injure or things like that. So we're trying to protect the players, again, as best as we can, but we're also trying to let the kids play football too. So there's that fine line there, which is very difficult sometimes.
Well, the other thing is too, Michael, is there's always going to be helmet contact, always.
Mm-hmm.
But what you try to make the difference of these defenders, even if an offensive player now becomes a defender on a change of possession, let's say, coaches should be coaching under any circumstances you don't tackle with the top of your helmet.
Yep.
So there's a circle around a helmet that's not there, but we know what it is. You just can't attack with the top of their helmets.
Yeah, and
that's the bottom line.
For people looking for a visual, we call it the crown of the helmet, because if you think about taking a crown, a royalty crown, and placing it upon your head, that's that circle. So anything that is being hit in that particular area of the helmet where a crown would sit, it's got to be a pretty big crown because those helmets are pretty big. Yeah. But that's definitely something that we're taking into account.
And here's another thing: if you get a defender that hits an offensive player, let's say by the side of the helmet, the chin strap area, the hole for the ear, if that defender strikes that player with the top or the crown of his helmet, that's targeting.
Yep.
That's targeting. So sometimes it's not a question as to where he hit the offensive player. The question always evolves around, did he use the top of his helmet?
Yes. Yep. No, that's the one where both people are potentially getting injured in that scenario. So we're definitely looking out and throwing that flag. Have you seen offensive targeting? Have you seen much of that with a running back possibly dropping their head and going in and different things like that? I know that that's, again, a controversial one because running backs are taught run behind their shoulder pads, lower their level, and the old school Mike Allstott, Tom Rathman, fullback style back in the day were always lowering their head and just, in essence, targeting defenders and putting their helmet sometimes right into a chest plate of a defender trying to tackle them. But if they make helmet to helmet contact on a defender, is that something that you guys are looking at upstairs?
Uh, Rarely. And I'll tell you why. Whenever these big fullbacks run from tackle to tackle, it's just instinctive
Yeah.
that they're going to lower themselves and they're not going to pick their heads up and hit that hole with their face mask first and foremost. So when you look at that kind of a scenario, it's really not targeting because that ball carrier is instinctively protecting himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that fullback or that halfback was to break to the right and run a sweep, and let's say a cornerback is coming up, or more times you'll see a cornerback or maybe that free safety that's on the ground as a result of a block, and that running back gets tackled or goes low enough that he lands in such a way with the crown of his helmet hitting
Mm-hmm.
that defender on the ground, in his helmet, you might get that flag.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
might
that's
get that
interesting.
flag, but you won't get it from tackle to tackle. It's seldom, unless it's so obvious
Yeah.
that.
And again, like you're saying, the running backs are typically looking to try to find the hole, not to try to find a defender. But there are some people that sometimes are looking to try to lay somebody out, even when they're carrying the ball, which is interesting in its own right. So, Mark, how do you feel about replay in general? Has it helped the game out? Is it something that I know people always complain because of the time aspect and saying that it's slowing the game down? But in your opinion now, from somebody who's been on the field, somebody who's been in the booth, who's had both roles, do you feel that replay has made enough of a difference on the positive for it to stick around?
Replay is here to stick around, and a lot of people live and die on the fact get it right.
Yeah.
I get it.
It-
Uh, uh, here's something that spikes my interest. Let's say you're watching Alabama and Florida State, all right? And you got replay officials at the game site, upstairs on the booth at the 50-yard line, 30-yard line, wherever they may be. And they have a scenario or they have a play that they got to take a look at. And they make a ruling, whatever the ruling may be. But then it comes from headquarters. This is the way we're going to go.
Okay. So they can
So
be overruled in essence.
they could be overruled. Why? I don't know.
Read between the tea leaves right there.
Yeah, but you know what? It happens more frequently than you may think about.
Yeah, and again, those are the things that are behind the scenes. Me as a casual fan on a Saturday afternoon watching an NCAA game, I don't know what the communication is going on back there. So that's why this is a very interesting conversation of learning these little tidbits. I I got one more question for you. We're getting close to that 45-minute mark, so I want to kind of wrap this up for you. But with replay here, and as you stated, replay is here to stay. How has that affected the on-field officiating aspect? Do you think that the officials themselves are officiating to replay? They're officiating for what they're seeing. What are your thoughts on that with the replay system?
I've been in after every time the 4 years that I worked replay, the replay officials will go down to the locker room after a game and be with the crew.
Okay.
And I'm here to say that I would say close to 100% of the time, the officials that just walked off the field appreciate replay.
Mm-hmm.
Because Michael, sometimes the speed and the size of these players, you could be looking at something and you don't even see it.
Yep.
And replay comes into play and they do the right thing. And they appreciate it because, like we all are, we got to get it right.
Yeah.
That's paramount. Now, uh, is it like having Big Brother over your shoulder? Absolutely. And my last point is, and maybe you might understand this, maybe you won't. The closest official to an infraction, more times or not, won't throw his flag because he's too close.
Yeah.
What usually happens is a typical targeting over the middle of the field. You won't get the back judge to throw that flag because he's too close. You may not even get the field judge or the side judge to throw that flag. They could be too close. But when you watch a game next time and you see a flag for targeting come out, there's a strong likelihood it's coming from either the linesman or the other short wing because they see it from that 15 yards, that 17 yards, because they see it from a distance. And what they also see is they see that play developing.
Yep.
So they see that defender with 12 yards to go, closing in on the offensive receiver. So they see the whole thing developing to its conclusion. Whereas those deep guys, all they see is that defender coming in for the last three steps out of nowhere.
And that's a great point just about officiating in general. Heck, with even replay, but understanding as an official, we have our keys and our responsibilities, and we always have to keep and officiate and keep everything in our periphery, even if it's on the far side of the field. We're still always officiating behind the play because some officials have their keys and sometimes they're too close, especially you talk about plays at the goal line and different things like that where it's a deep wing and you see them back off of the goal line. So sometimes they're not getting that angle on if a runner may have stepped out of bounds. So now your short wing's got a great angle. So you always want to keep that periphery and definitely just keep everything in your image. And as an umpire, my focus is guard, center guard. I'm looking in there initially, but then on a pass, I am going to spin. Once I know that it's clear, I am going to spin and try to see if I can help out and possibly have a better angle on a ball if it skipped off of the ground or not. So to try to save one of the deep wings or even a short wing if there's bodies there. So it's always something to definitely think of. And that's a good point. And I like that you mentioned that of always keeping that and understanding where the targeting penalty may be coming from. So, Mark, we've come to that 45-minute mark. Once again, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out of your schedule. I know you're very busy, and we're rolling on coming up to our football season. I got my first scrimmage coming up myself in a week or so, so I'm looking forward to getting back out on the field and talking some football in some live scenarios. In essence, anything you'd like to leave the listeners with before we end the show today?
Well, you know what? This is a serious avocation that we're all involved in.
Yes.
And no matter what, we're professionals. If you accept your check, I don't care if it's for $3, you're a professional. And I think every football official at any level, when they step out onto the field to officiate a game, act like a professional, because you are. And there's just no getting away from it. Enjoy what you do. You're doing it today, and you're not doing it tomorrow. And my 40 years has come and gone. I'm at the very end. I'm on the 2 yard line going in,
There
and
you
I
go.
had nothing but great feelings, and all the people I have met, priceless. And I really thank you for having me on here today. I hope I was able to give some insight to your listeners as to what happens inside the replay officials. It's intense. It's an intense 3 hours, and I'm telling you, you walk out of there. I'm more drained than I was if I was on the field
Oh,
at
wow.
a game, because your brain doesn't shut off. It just doesn't shut off, and that has a lot to say. But thank you again, and I hope your officials and your listeners get something out of this.
Once again, I appreciate you taking the time, and also I want to say thank you for 40 years of service. That's fantastic, and helping me. I'm going into year 9 or 10. I lost track, but helping the game evolve and become a better game each and every year. So what you've done, and I'm sure in 40 years have touched a number of lives and hopefully helped grow in this game. I want to say thank you for them. So once again, Mark, truly appreciate you taking the time out today. Mark Mesnick coming to us from the state of New York. Appreciate it. Mark, have a fantastic rest of the day and have a fantastic upcoming season.
Can we have a minute or two after you shut down?
Absolutely.